A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because of the Canadian. No, I cheer for my bats.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Wednesday Live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time, bright and early on this Wednesday, to look back on a doubleheader of Game 5s last night in the Association NBA playoff action. Two teams returned home in series tied at 2-all and made statements on their own home floors. A wild night in the Stanley Cup postseason as well. We go around Major League Baseball. The WNBA season tipping off last night with 4 games, including Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut. And Donnie, on this Wednesday, it's scheduled release day in the National Football League. Would you look at that? A Wednesday in the middle of May that is absolutely jam-packed.
Absolutely. And also, I lost money last night, so I still have a smile on my face because it's a new day today.
Good.
Didn't
Thank
have very much success here on RBI props. We're participating in FanDuel's Dinger Tuesday. It's okay there. But I did hit my best bet on the show yesterday, which was an under where a team scored 7 times yesterday, and the game still stayed under down in the Big A. So everything's all right. And also, I told you people, watch out for those road teams in the NBA. Yeah, you should have watched out and not listened to any advice I gave on the Indiana Pacers and or the Timberwolves yesterday. But today, we focus on the NFL because the schedule releases are coming out. So many big things, and also on the eve of a major championship in golf as the PGA gets underway tomorrow from Valhalla. This is good times right now, Benny boy. It's good times.
DRS, let's not forget the saying in the old adage here, new day, new money. We look back, but we always keep an eye moving forward as well. But we do look back on the doubleheader last night. We start with the nightcap in Denver. Nikola Jokic starting to look like the 3-time MVP in the last 4 years in this playoff series. Really, since they left Denver, he was named MVP for a 3rd time in the past 4 seasons, and his play has elevated like he showed throughout the regular season. Last night, an effortless 40-point 13 assist performance against the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, who looked to be no match for the Joker, as Nikola Jokic leads Denver to a 112-97 victory and a 3-2 series lead over Minnesota.
Superstars stepping up in the biggest moments. Now, yesterday, for the first time in the last 2 games, I did not take a triple-double here for Nikola Jokic. But if you would have told me 40 points and 13 assists, the easy one should be getting the double-digit rebounds, which he did not get and only got 7. But it didn't matter. He was unbelievable and ultra-efficient, 15 of 22 from the floor. You also got 18 points out of Gordon, 16 out of Murray, 16 out of KCP. That is exactly what you needed for those B role players to step up and help out your superstar.
Yeah.
I thought the Timberwolves would be live yesterday. In the first half, it was very close, but that third quarter where it was 38-30, where you saw that lead widening here for the Nuggets, this is what you're supposed to do. Take care of your home court, and they finally did that in this series. Now it looks like it's the Nuggets series to win here.
Finally, somebody wins a game in this series on their own home floor. It took until game number 5 at altitude, but Denver wins by 15, covers as a 4-point home favorite in a smaller total of 206. Does just go over. The New York Knicks return to Madison Square Garden, but bad vibes leaving Indianapolis. A shorthanded New York team back inside the Mecca, only booked as a 1.5 favorite after what we got confirmed, which was expected. OG Anunoby missing his 3rd consecutive game of this series. But no matter for New York. 40 points for Jokic, 44 for Jalen Brunson as the Knicks return home to MSG and win by 30. 121-91, easily covering as a 1.5 favorite inside the Garden.
Yep, and we were talking about this before the game, like that correlation. Like, forget about even taking the Knicks as a -2 or -1.5 favorite as it closed at the FanDuel Sportsbook. This team is only going to go so far that Brunson can take them. 18 of 35 from the field for 44 points and a +31. He was absolutely sensational. And this is what's crazy. We talk about like those zigzag theories. One team doesn't cover the game before, take them the next game. Can you have 2 more wild swings than we saw in game number 4 in Indiana and now back in Madison Square Garden, where both of these teams blew each other out? I have no idea what to expect as the series moves back to Indiana for game number 6. But the one thing I do know is Brunson is here for it, baby. He really is.
Certainly so. New York wins by 30 in Game 5. The Pacers won by 32 back in Indianapolis on Sunday in Game number 4. We'll see about Game 6, but New York holds a 3-2 series advantage. WNBA season here in the summer of 2024, tipping off last night. A quadruple header of action. The Aces got their rings in Las Vegas for a 2nd consecutive year, and Caitlin Clark made her WNBA debut in Connecticut. Now, she did score 20 points, ever so slightly under her points prop of 20 and a hook, but it wasn't the most outstanding debut for Clark, where she committed 10 turnovers. In Connecticut, who was 27-13 a season ago, looked the part as one of the best in the WNBA. A 21-point win over Indiana. They cover as an 8-point favorite. Some growing pains, perhaps, for Caitlin Clark now in the W.
Yeah, got a little bit of foul trouble early, finished at a -13, but did score the 20 points here. 3-point shooting wasn't great to start, but ended up making 4 of 11, which you'll take that on the night-to-night basis. You got to clean up those turnovers. 10, that's a little bit too many. Also, we had that graphic up yesterday, like betting a triple-double for the season. I think she had to get maybe 3 of those, which is a wager. And the one I was looking at is like, boy, it's going to be hard for a guard to go into the professional ranks and grab 10 rebounds in some of these games. And you see last night, 0 rebounds. I'm not saying she's not going to get a rebound the entire season, but triple-double is going to be really tough. But that's one of those games where you take it, you move forward, and you learn. She even said as much after the game. Hey, look, you got to clean some of that stuff up. It was fun to play out there, but we got to get better, and understandably so. A good performance, though, 20 points in your opening day.
A triple-double for Alyssa Thomas for Connecticut on the other side. 13 points, 13 dimes, 10 boards. That's her 8th triple-double since the start of last year. Those 8 triple-doubles in the last season plus for Alyssa Thomas, more than anybody else in WNBA history has in their career by double. That's 4. She has 8 in the last 2 seasons, if you want to call it 2 seasons, now in the first game of the 2024 campaign. Now to the ice in the Stanley Cup postseason. Boston on the road in Sunrise staves off elimination in game number 5 against Florida. Donnie, a round of applause for your guy, the Swayman, Jeremy Swayman. Huge last night for Boston as the Bees win 2-1 over the Florida Panthers to force a 6th game back in Beantown.
Swag surfing there for my guy Sway, man. He was tremendous last night. Something I didn't see coming. I thought that was series dead and move on, the Florida Panthers, but now we extend it. The hardest game to win, Ben, is what? The series clinching game. Weren't able to do that on their home ice. Back to Beantown we go.
The Oilers even it up in Edmonton, but again, this series has been anything but easy for the Oilers. They scored twice in the final 2 minutes of regulation, including Evan Bouchard, the game winner. As time was getting close to expiring, the Oilers even the series at 2 games apiece with a 3-2 home win.
Had to absolutely have that, man. You can't go down 3-1 and the team looking to close you out on their home ice. Good win for the Oilers, and here we go. The best of 3 now. Who's going to win this one?
So we also go to Major League Baseball. Interesting moment for the Astros yesterday. Ronel Blanco, who has started off sensationally this year for Houston, a 4-0 record, ejected from the game after a foreign substance check. The Astros do win in extras 2-1 over Oakland.
If you learn anything from the Houston Astros and the Michigan Wolverines, cheat. What's it going to cost them? 1 start here? Load up that glove with sticky stuff. Absolutely. It's one. You guys won World Series by banging on trash cans and having transmitters placed on your arms. What's a little bit of sticky tack here when you're trying to dominate? Didn't this guy throw a no-hitter early this year from last year who was terrible? Cheat as much as you can. It's the American way, people, and it works.
Donnie, right side and advocating of cheating. Yeah. Doug Gottlieb.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Doug Gottlieb, the new head basketball coach for the men's basketball program at Green Bay. What are you doing? NBA playoff recaps next.
Look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those 2 guys, those 2 monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The NBA MVP doing MVP things. Last night in Denver in game number 5. Finally, in this second round series between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, somebody owns their own home floor. And that was the Denver Nuggets in game number 5 at altitude, 112.97. We welcome you back to this Tuesday live right here on the Early Line where the Nuggets DRS wake up on this Tuesday morning in the Mile High City as they get ready to head back. Wednesday morning, excuse me. Yeah, it's Wednesday here on the early line. Either way, the Nuggets are very, very pleased. They win by 15. They cover as a 4-point home favorite last night. A total of 206 goes over. In the main storyline, Nikola Jokic. On the night he was honored as the 3-time NBA MVP, his 3rd MVP award in the last 4 seasons, he goes off. 40 points, 13 assists. Denver, a 3-2 series lead.
I looked at this game yesterday, and I actually thought the Timberwolves would be a right side here, which means they could win that basketball game or maybe play it close. But I was wrong. The Denver Nuggets won every single quarter, Ben. 28-26 first quarter, 22-18 second quarter, 38-30 third quarter, and 24-23 fourth quarter. That's a complete destruction here. Now, granted, the final score was 15 points, but it just felt like you were always in command if you were the Nuggets. And I told you yesterday, boy, the one player that I was really focused on for the Timberwolves was Karl Anthony Towns. He went 10 of 19 from the floor, 23 points. That should have been good enough to be that B player here in order to take a look at your superstar, Anthony Edwards. The problem is, Edwards, we expect so many great things. One, just wasn't great last night. 44 minutes, only 5 of 15 from the floor, 18 total points. That's not going to be good enough to knock off the world champions in their own building, specifically when you know you're going to get a great performance each and every night out of Nikola Jokic in games that mean the most. 41 minutes, 15 of 22, 40 points, a plus 21, 13 assists. Everything was working because that's what we expect from the MVP, getting the trophy on his home court. Now you take a look at that uphill climb, and where do we go from here, Ben, if you're the Timberwolves? You won the first 2 games of this series on the opponent's home court. Oh, you had to, again, just win 1 game on your home court there to make it 3-1. Then it doesn't matter. You say, okay, all eggs in a basket in game number 6. Now you're playing game number 6 in your home building, Ben, and that's just to make sure you can get to a game number 7, which will be an elevation in Denver. Champions rise to the occasion. MVPs rise to the occasion. You saw that yesterday from the Denver Nuggets.
100%. When Denver left Denver to go to Minneapolis, they had 3 days off, a lot of time to think, but also to make adjustments, to try to get a win in this series, to give them life. They did so on Friday night. We expected that championship pedigree and resolve to show up. Did we expect the Nuggets to win 3 straight and take a 3-2 series lead? I'm not so sure. But we did not think the Nuggets would go quietly into that offseason night, and they certainly did not. Denver now 4-2 straight up at altitude throughout this postseason run. Last night, just their second cover at home, 2-4 against the spread, of course, booked as a home favorite. And winning on the road has been the main theme in this series until a Tuesday night on this Wednesday morning. Again, all 4 games, the road team victorious outright as an underdog for the Timberwolves DRS. Games 3 and 4 in Phoenix in their opening round series. They won outright as a dog on the road. The opening 2 games here against the reigning champs, the Nuggets. But last night, not that effort necessary. But who was there? Nikola Jokic. 40 points, 13 dimes. It was rather unceremonious, if you want to call it that, for a player winning his 3rd MVP award in the last 4 NBA seasons earlier last week after the Nuggets were in the 0-2 hole and Nikola Jokic had not looked great to start off this series against the Timberwolves. Since that point, since earning the MVP hardware, for whatever reason, Nikola Jokic has stepped up in the largest of ways for Denver, and last night on display. Getting the MVP award for his 3rd time in the last 4 years, a 40-point, 13-assist performance, only 7 rebounds, which is what you always chalk in as in the double-double category. But Nikola Jokic offensively against Rudy Gobert, who also won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award last week as well. Effortless, graceful, outstanding, the best basketball player on planet Earth.
No doubt about it, but you also need help from your neighbors here, Ben. And what do I mean by that? Take a look at the Denver Nuggets statistics on the night as a team. 55% from the floor, which included 47% from three-point range and 83% from the free throw line. But look at the shooting percentages. Take away Michael Porter Jr., who's been terrible the past 2 games. You take a look at Gordon, 7 of 14. Jokic, 15 of 22. Murray, 7 of 14. KCP, 6 of 8. Even go to the bench. Jackson, 3 of 3. Brown, 4 of 8. Everybody chipping in here with high efficiency. efficiency. That's what we anticipate from the Denver Nuggets. This is what makes them so good because it's typically not just Jokic. And the fact that Jokic is so good at converting, but the key, do you see how many assists he got last night? That's 13. That means wide open looks for everybody else. And also those wide open looks outside of Michael Porter Jr. all cashing in. Great performance out of the Denver Nuggets. I want to see what the Timberwolves are made of because I would love to see them get a win on their home court, which they haven't been able to do in this series, and push a Game 7. But the expectations for the Denver Nuggets are world championship. You saw it last year, and as I said before, teams are expected to do this. Like the Denver Nuggets can go, oh, man, whew, thank goodness we got that win last night. That's what they're supposed to do at home in elevation. This is why you have home court advantage. Take care of it, and they did last night.
It's why they believe in themselves and certainly have the last few seasons, ending with an NBA championship a year ago. Aaron Gordon, by the way, has been fantastic in this series. 27 points in game number 4, 18 points over his prop of 14 and a hook last night in game number 5. So now Denver, a minus 500 favorite to win this series. They were greater than a $2 favorite entering game number 1. We're an underdog after losing game 1. We're a hefty underdog as we change cities to the Twin Cities entering game number 3, minus 176 in the series outright price entering last night. A victory and 1 win away from their second consecutive Western Conference Finals. It's minus 500.
You never say never, right? The Timberwolves don't look like they're going to win this series, but we also said that about the Denver Nuggets after they were down 0-2 on their home court. Like, it's a wrap here, Timberwolves. We're going to start to crown that basketball team. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, but you have to handle your business. In a Game 7, Ben, anything can happen. You just have to get there, and we'll see if the Timberwolves can do that.
The Timberwolves, a 2-point favorite, back in Minneapolis on their home floor tomorrow night in Game 6. A rout inside the Garden next.
Look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Point wins. It's been the story in the second round series in the Eastern Conference playoffs in the NBA between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, at least in the last 2 games. Indiana wins game number 4 by 32. An absolute rout in Indy. New York returns the favor last night back in the Big Apple inside Madison Square Garden. A 30-point win for the Knickerbockers, 121-91. They cover easily as a 1.5 favorite, just 14 cents of separation on those money line numbers. Minus 116 for the Knicks, minus 102 other side of the money line for the Pacers, and a total of 217 and a hook because of only 91 points offensively from Indiana. Stays well under. The Garden has been electric, and New York is 5-1 at home throughout this postseason. Now a 3-2 series lead here, one win away from a berth in the Eastern Conference Finals for the Knicks for the first time since 2000.
It's all about Brunson. The guy's a superstar, man. Superstar on Broadway, and rightfully so. If you're just betting the Knicks, forget about every other player. You know 9 out of 10 times Brunson is going to get you your money, which means 44 points last night. Like, oh, banged up, didn't play all that well. Let's see when he comes home to the Garden. We should have known better, right? Ben, he took 35 shots from the field yesterday.
Yeah.
He's back in tune. Now, also, when are we going to I wish we would get the phone call right from the Knicks and be like, you know what, who's going to play? Oh, yeah, Miles McBride's actually going to show up tonight. He played 40 minutes, 7 of 15 from the floor, dropped 3 triples for 17 points. That's exactly what we need. Josh Hart, who was terrible in the previous game against Indiana. You take a look at this now, 18 points and 11 rebounds and a plus 21. The only guy that really didn't show up yesterday, which cost me another parlay, was Dante DiVincenzo. Needed to make 2 3-point shots. He doesn't make any 3-point shots, and guys like Alec Burks are draining 5 off of the bench. So it just goes to show you how hard it is sometimes to pick. But the one thing we do know is Brunson is a flat-out superstar and is ready for that moment. And as we talked about, how deflating can you be coming back to the Garden? Like, yes, we understand it's going to be a best of 3, but the way they got beat down in game number 4 looked like they might not be active the rest of this series, and yet they win by 30 points on their home court last night and look like the better team by far. I don't know what to make of this series overall, but I do expect probably the Pacers to win game 6 and then a fun game 7 back in the Garden. But the one thing we do know, banged up, bring in your lunch pail, it's Jalen Brunson. He has been you're not supposed to be able to shoot 35 times in a game as a smaller point guard. He's been doing that. It's an incredible run, something we haven't seen in a long, long time, Ben.
And better than 50% from the floor, 18 of 35. If he's going to take 35 field goal attempts and hit at that efficient rate, he's going to go over whatever points prop the FanDuel Sportsbook sets for him. And I bet over 32.5 2 nights ago, getting ready for last night, just because of the variance in the numbers. You remember getting ready for game 2 at Madison Square Garden in this series, DRS, and seeing his points prop rise from 35 and a hook, already astronomical, to 37.5. And both you and I said, listen, it makes sense to elevate that points prop. We wouldn't bet it, but it makes sense. I took advantage of the market discrepancy, and the number closed at 33.5. He took more field goals than his points prop last night, and he scored 44. How about Isaiah Hartenstein? 12 offensive rebounds yesterday, 17 in total, cleaning up the glass. It was the change in the starting lineup. Deuce McBride in there. Alec Burks, the guy to make 5 triples off the bench, to fill in for the overnight for Dante DiVincenzo. And Tyrese Halliburton has his second stinker in this series inside Madison Square Garden. Only 13 points last night, only 9 field goal attempts. And DRS, what was so crazy was entering last night's game, when we were breaking this down on a Tuesday morning on the early line, it was a 2.5 point spread in favor of New York. And we all anticipated that OG Anunoby would be out for a 3rd straight game and miss game number 5. When that became official yesterday afternoon, the line worked against New York. It was only a 1.5. And yet, the shorthanded New York Knicks don't just win in a tight game where they had to claw it out like every game up until game 4 in this series. They win by 30 and make a statement at home.
You typically play better at home. That's the way we know it, even if you're banged up coming into it, or even missing starters like the Knicks are. And also, you can go back to that Cleveland Cavaliers series against the Celtics. In that last game, no Donovan Mitchell. They still played well and covered the spread. We have to remember, there's still professionals on both sides of the basketball, even if some of those star players are down. But never did I see the Knicks winning this game comfortably by 30 points here. Now we go back to Indiana.
And Indiana is going to be a 5.5 point favorite for Friday night's game number 6. We'll look at the series situation and plenty more up next on the early line.
We look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
The
line.
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Denver Nuggets back officially in those NBA championship odds. We'll look at where the Nuggets stand, 1 win away from an appearance in the Western Conference Finals for a second straight season. But, Donnie, we go back to game number 5, first inside Madison Square Garden. The Knicks don't just win outright and cover as a slight 1.5-point favorite in a game the odds makers expected to be close and a gnaw and claw it out type game for New York. They win by 30. How does that alter the series odds as we get ready for a couple of days off in game number 6 in Indianapolis on Friday night? Entering last night, Indiana was a minus 144 series outright favorite despite being a road underdog in game number 5. We spoke about that at length, DRS, and how those odds did not necessarily correlate. Well, now they certainly don't. New York heads back to Indy, 1 win away from a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in nearly 2.5 decades since 2000 as a minus 265 favorite to win this series outright. And yet New York is booked currently as a 5-point underdog for game number 6.
Yeah, I would assume that this is going back to New York for game number 7, just based on what we've seen in the home court for this series alone. First 2 games, who won? It was the New York Knicks. They were home. Next 2 games, who won? It was the Indiana Pacers on their home court. Game number 5, home court. Game number 6 should go home court as well. And then we go to game number 7, which I'm also going to go the home court here. I think the Knicks do win this series. They just have to win 1 out of 2. Do they want to close out 6 games? Absolutely they do. But I don't know if they can, just based on this series profile. So in 7, I do think the Knicks take care of business back in the Garden.
So there is profitability then to be had. If you follow the odds, it makes a lot of sense. New York is a 5-point underdog on the road in Indy. They did not win either of the 2 games in Indianapolis. So far in this series, no road team has won a basketball game. And again, the Knicks will be a hefty underdog. A couple of days off to rest for this shorthanded New York team. That is only a positive. But I would agree with Donnie. I think Indiana wins in game number 6 back inside the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So go back to the series odds. The Knicks to win in 7 right there in front of your face is plus 155. The Knicks will be at least a slight home favorite inside Madison Square Garden in a winner-take-all Game 7 in this second-round series. You would have profitability on New York and a hedge-out or moneyline opportunity on the other side for the Pacers. There's your best bet in this series if you do not think New York steals one on the road in game number 6.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if, Grant, I can't say I don't know because we said back-to-back games where each team blew each other out by 30. So we could have another big performance, and maybe Brunson is fully healed from that foot injury that he had a couple games ago. But I do think Indiana rises up on their home court, and we're destined for a game 7. So the plus money in game 7, I'm not going to say, hey, you know what, even if, let's just say the Pacers win by 30 on their home court, I won't have any carryover correlation to game number 7. Like, yep, that's just what it is. And the Knicks come home. Maybe they win by 30 in game number 7. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what we've seen so far in this series. By the way, that game is on Friday night because of Caitlin Clark's home opener for the Indiana Fever tomorrow night in Indy against the New York Liberty. A big night of New York versus Indy on back-to-back nights in Indianapolis. So as we look at the NBA postseason as of this moment, the Boston Celtics, a large favorite tonight to clinch their second-round series and get back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the 3rd consecutive year with one more victory against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Boston is loving what they see in that other set. The Celtics remain an odds-on favorite to win the NBA championship, but their number a little bit worse, minus 140, has now become minus 135. Why? Because of what Denver is doing in their second-round series against Minnesota. 3 straight wins in the shortest price we have seen on the Nuggets in about a week and a half, plus 265 to win the NBA championship.
Yeah, we talked about that price for the Celtics yesterday bottoming out a little bit because it can't get any better than that. It's not as if, okay, let's just win one more game. It goes to 140. Win another game, it goes to 145, 150, 160, because that's not the way it's going to play out in the finals if you get a strong contender, which basically any of those teams that come out of the West are going to be strong contenders. And now you're seeing the Denver Nuggets playing much better basketball now with 3 straight victories, back on that perch as, oh, yeah, we remember they were champions last year and maybe destined to go back-to-back. They would give the Celtics a hell of a fight if they took them on in the NBA Finals. So it does make some sense. The Celtics will always be the favorite because, number one, they'll have home court advantage, and just getting to the finals is still going to be a lot easier for them than it is for the Denver Nuggets, as is we're just anointing them winners of the West, which we know that's not the case. They're going to get strong contention in the Western Conference Finals anyway. So those numbers will work itself out, but I don't think the Celtics will get too much higher than what we saw, that minus 140-ish price earlier.
Plus 350, the number on the Denver Nuggets entering last night, shaved off by 90 cents, plus 260. The T-Wolves still with a hope in this series at plus 850 entering game number 5 last night in the Mile High City. Now 17-1, trying to stave off elimination on Thursday night back in the Twin Cities. DRS, as we look at the Eastern Conference, which is our duty here on the early line, we pretty much just predict what the series price is going to be in favor of Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. Again, it has not moved at minus 600. They're a 14.5-point favorite in game number 5 back inside TD Garden tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We don't know if they'll cover that number, winning by 15 plus. We are uncertain the status of Donovan Mitchell, but I think it's pretty safe to assume, and again, it's just an assumption, that the Celtics win at least outright tonight to clinch this series and get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you think the number would be in that instance as we wake up on a Thursday morning?
I mean, probably pretty substantial at that point, but also this is really baked in at this point. Like, how much higher can the Celtics go? Like, are they going to be a minus 800 price against the Knicks if the Knicks come in and, let's just say, win game number 6 against Indiana on the road and maybe getting OG Anunoby back? That can't be the price at that point. So we're sort of holding on, saying we still think the Knicks and the Pacers might go 7 games. And it looks like now if the Pacers can win that game, that's an extra game and attrition on that lineup for the Knicks, that most of those guys are playing 40-plus minutes on a night-to-night basis. When you take a look at the Boston Celtics, where they're getting rest here, which includes Kristaps Porzingis. We haven't needed him this series because overall, Boston is still a much better team than the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you do get Kristaps Porzingis back for the next series, and maybe you don't get OG Anunoby back, that could be devastating as well because you're adding an extra piece to the Celtics and still taking a piece away from the New York Knicks. But again, you think the Celtics get into the finals, values in the eye of the beholder. Minus 600 right now sounds ludicrous, but you telling me right now the Boston Celtics are to get knocked out by the Knicks if they get Porzingis back in the next series and they have home court advantage? I don't think that's happening here. Will I be wagering on it? Not necessarily, but we've been telling you all along. The Celtics basically on that road to the NBA Finals, and nobody's really going to get in the way.
The Celtics have been booked in their 9 playoff games so far as at least a 7.5-point favorite. They have home floor advantage. They've been booked as at least a 13-point home favorite each and every game inside TD Garden. Tonight, a 14.5-point spread. The Knicks last night, not the Knicks themselves, but Knicks fans inside Madison Square Garden chanting, "We want Boston." I'm not so sure you do at this moment. The Nuggets have now flipped once again to an odds-on minus money favorite. At this point a week ago, with Minnesota holding a 2-0 series lead, winning both games in Denver, they were minus money. It just shows the volatility of these markets based on each and every individual game in a playoff series.
Look at the roll flip there, right? You see the Nuggets minus 125 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Just a week ago, you see the Minnesota Timberwolves at a 7-1 price. Those were flip-flop. The Denver Nuggets were 7-1 here for the Western Conference and 15-1 to win the NBA championship. My goodness, how about a week of makes a difference in those price points here? But I still get back to like, oh no, why didn't we bet the Denver Nuggets? We all had a chance to, but who's betting the Denver Nuggets when the Minnesota Timberwolves clean up 2 games on Denver's home court after a sweep of the Suns? We thought they were destined to get to the Western Conference Finals, and here we are, the Nuggets, back to the favorites.
Right. It's all perceived value, right? There are areas in the marketplaces to find a big plus money price on something that might even seem unlikely, even if you have belief, but you're still trying to cash that ticket. To Major League Baseball we go. The Daily Diamond Dash next.
Look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. We go around Major League Baseball from a virtually full slate yesterday. We did have a postponement, a rainout in Baltimore for the game between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. But the New York Yankees, who had the day off on Monday against the Minnesota Twins, who also had the day off on Monday, got their midweek series started last night on a Tuesday in the Twin Cities with a 5-1 win over Minnesota. The Yankees scored all 5 runs in the first 4 innings after the Twins took an early 1-0 lead. A big victory for the Yanks behind a pretty good pitching performance from Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, it was a good pitching performance. And also, this was one of those games where I liked a couple Twins guys to get RBIs because the analytics weren't matching up with the ERA of Carlos Rodon. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run. And did you know, in the bottom of the first inning, the very first batter hit a solo home run off Rodon. So you're like, oh my goodness, he's probably in for a tough start. He really settled down. But also on the opposite side, Chris Paddock, one of those good young Major League Baseball pitchers, you're waiting to step into his own, got hammered yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 12 hits, 5 earned runs. Yankees pound out 13 hits now and improved to 28-15. That's a good series, man. 2 teams fighting for first place here. The Yanks get the best of the Twins, game number 1.
The Yanks back in front in the American League East with the Orioles losing their opener against Toronto on Monday. Rained out yesterday, a half-game advantage for New York. The most wins in the AL now with 28. The Guardians have 27 wins. We'll talk about Cleveland in a moment, but have that advantage over Minnesota in the American League Central. The Yanks were a very slight road favorite yesterday in the Twin Cities, minus 116. That closing number on the money line. A total of 8.5 does stay under. Chris Paddock, 4.5 Ks for his strikeout prop yesterday. Craig Mish liked the look. It stayed under by the hook, as Craig knows better than anybody. Sometimes the hook can giveth, and the hook do taketh. Late night out in Seattle, the Mariners hosting the Kansas City Royals, and KC bounces back. 26 wins for Kansas City already. 4-2 the victory for the Royals. Seattle DRS booked as a pretty hefty home favorite, minus 162 on that money line. Kansas City outright as the underdog.
Yeah, scoring 3 runs in the top of the 7th inning and tacking on 1 in the 8th, but that 3-run home run was key there in the middle of that lineup for Velasquez, the DH. You also take a look at only 5 hits here for the Royals, so that's maximizing your runs here, getting 4 runs on only 5 hits. But also take a look at this. You said it. The Royals are 26-18 right now, and now above 500 on the road, which is key. And veteran pitchers like Michael Wacha sort of cast aside, going from team to team to team. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, only 1 earned run to go along with 7 Ks. He hasn't been all that great this year, but his ERA now sits at 4.71. If you're going to get performances out of Michael Wacha for that Royals team, who knows what they can do this summer? Because the longer you go, the more you have that winning record here, the more you buy into the season, and also your ownership group does the same thing. Instead of saying like, yo, Kansas City, typically every once out of maybe 20 years, we can make a run at the playoffs, but if not, we're going to sell all of our prospects off to other teams to try to rebuild for that next run. Maybe you hold on to those prospects and looking for that new stadium and signing guys long-term like Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe things looking on the up and up for Kansas City, which usually isn't the case.
Yeah, it's really good right now for the Royals. Total of 7 last night in the Northwest does stay under. The Guardians score 7 runs in back-to-back games in Arlington to knock off the Rangers. They shut out Texas to start off this midweek series on Monday. The Rangers scored 4 yesterday, but by the time that happened, Cleveland was already up 6-0. A 6-run second inning led by the Naylor brothers. Bo Naylor, 2 RBIs in the top of the second. Josh Naylor, a 3-run home run for Naylor there in the second inning as well. DRS gave you the look yesterday. If you were staring down the RBI props for Cleveland, Josh Naylor was the way to go, and that's what we saw. 7-4 the victory for Cleveland. They went outright as a slight underdog on the road in Arlington.
Yeah, we thought that was going to be the case yesterday. Now, Leiter hasn't been a great performer overall this season, but here's what the tough part comes in about it. When I take a look at handicapping games, I need to see at least like 20 innings pitched out of a pitcher because you can fluctuate wildly in your first couple starts. But if you were just looking at statistics, that was a pitcher in Jack Leiter that you really wanted to get after yesterday, and they did, as you said, Ben. 6 runs in the top of the second inning. It was a wrap from that point on. It's just one of those where you say, man, I probably should have just went because Leiter hasn't started off all that well. Let's wait for a few more starts here to get those numbers to really sink in. But if you're just looking at, looks like a bad pitcher going against a couple guys that can really hammer in the Guardians lineup, you won yesterday, and sometimes that's all you need.
Jack Leiter came up to the bigs midway through April, so only a few starts here in his Major League Baseball career. He was an early draft pick, 2nd overall back in 2021 out of Vandy. Of course, the son of a Major League Baseball great on the bump. Al Leiter hasn't been the greatest start, a 16.30 ERA now for Jack Leiter in MLB. A great season to begin for Ronel Blanco, the starting pitcher yesterday for the Houston Astros. And the Astros do win in extras as a minus 196 home money line favorite against the Oakland Athletics yesterday. But that wasn't really the story of the victory for the Stros. It was Ronel Blanco getting ejected after a foreign substance check. As DRS said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And maybe there's a little cheating happening once again in H-Town.
Yeah, just got to go back to the lab, find that new solution that the umpires can't catch up with you just yet here. And surely they will probably find that because they've done that in the past. But here we go. The Astros 2-1. Wins matter. Doesn't matter how pretty it's going to be. 8-1, 9-2. Your bats come out the player. They don't. They're still picking up victories. Now, having said that, you take a look at the Oakland Athletics. They scored one run. Do you have any idea, Ben, who drove in that one run there for those Athletics yesterday? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was Brett Rooker, DRS, one day after. A Rooker. Yeah, Unbelievable tough scene, but that's the way. Usually when you bet a guy and he doesn't get that RBI the night before, it doesn't even matter the matchup the next day. You know he's going to come through. But the Astros 17-25, waiting their time out here in the weeds here where nobody's running away with that division, Ben. DRS, I do feel for you, right? Sometimes you get a little gun shy after you miss on the RBI prop, but that's why you got to go back to the RBI prop at times as well. Rooker. What is it, Rooker? Like
Rooker.
Rooker?
Yeah.
Rooker. Yeah. Brett Rooker, by the way, still batting above 300 this year. Ronel Blanco was scoreless in his 3 innings before that foreign substance check. He's now set to probably miss at least a start, but a 2.09 ERA for Blanco. I wonder why. Victor Caratini, the RBI walk-off single in the 10th. The Astros have won 5 of their last 6. More MLB up next.
Look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For a second consecutive evening, the Chicago Cubs go into Atlanta and score as many runs in a Major League Baseball game as Donnie and I did yesterday. That's 0. The Braves win 7-0, but behind another outstanding pitching performance from Chris Sale, who has made 8 starts this year for Atlanta. DRS has earned a decision in his last 7. He is now 6-1 this season with a 2.54 ERA. Jameson Taillon, not bad yesterday, only allowing 2 earned. It was the rest of what happened for Chicago that wasn't great. Wait, where are all these runs stacking up? Anyway, Chris Sale, big game yesterday for the Atlanta Braves, 4 RBIs for Matt Olson. Were there a ton of unearned runs scored yesterday in Atlanta?
Yeah, Taillon gave up 7 runs, but only a couple of those runs were earned runs because of an error in that inning. Gave up a couple home runs. But this is one yesterday where you say to yourself, I just got it wrong. Because when we were talking on the show yesterday, the total was 8. I think it closed around 7.5, but it still didn't matter. It stayed under the total. Like, I was looking at this game going like, okay, it's going well. 3 innings, 1 earned, 1 run, that's fine. And then 6 runs scored in the bottom of the 4th inning. Like, oh, well, that's a terrible under that I told the people to bet. But when Chicago doesn't want to participate in games and or series, this is what you get. You can still cash wagers. Again, hey, Donnie, you still like that under if I told you before the game Atlanta's going to play 7? Absolutely not. I don't like that. And it wins easily at this point because nobody scored in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th inning. I don't know what happened to the Cubs bat here in this, series, but also the bigger picture is how good Chris Sale has actually been in sort of his second leg of his career. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, no walks, 9 Ks, lowers his ERA to about 2.5. That's incredible stuff here. And again, it's just what we expect out of the Atlanta Braves. Lose the Cy Young award-winning pitcher that you figure is going to win it this year for Atlanta, no big deal. We'll just pick up some has-beens and some other guys in the rotation, and we'll still keep cooking at 26-13 on the season.
And maybe have another Cy Young contender in Chris Sale. Again, 6-1, a decision in his last 7 starts. He has won 6 of those 7 with a 2.54 ERA, only allowing 2 base knocks yesterday to the Cubs, who totaled 3 hits as a team. The offense has not really been there for Chicago on the road to start this week in Atlanta. A shutout performance from Chris Sale, but not a complete game shutout. We saw that out of Aaron Nola yesterday for the Phils on the road in New York against the Mets. The Phillies win 4-0. They win and as a -126 money line favorite. Total of 7.5 does stay under. Some afternoon baseball up in Queens. And Aaron Nola, once again, a complete game shutout. 9 innings of work, no earned runs, only allowing 4 hits, 8 Ks against the Amazons. The 4th career complete game shutout for Aaron Nola in Philadelphia. DRS continues to be the best in the bigs. A Major League Baseball best 30 wins. The first team to get to the 30-win threshold.
Yeah, the pitching staff has been absolutely incredible for the Phillies, particularly in that starting role. But also, you take a look at the Phillies lineup yesterday. It was half-baked. Like, Bryce Harper was supposed to play yesterday, sat because of a migraine. We already know JT Realmuto's been out a couple games with those knee issues. You had Bryson Stott there in the 3-hole, Castellanos in the 2 positions. Those guys normally on. Look at the last guys in the lineup. Cody Clemens, Jan Rojas, and Garrett Stubbs here. And you still got a victory and did it with ease. And also, watching that game yesterday, how about this? An 85-second inning by Aaron Nola along that process. He was quick, he was efficient, and it's rare today that we see a complete game shutout by a starting pitcher. But the one thing I've liked about Aaron Nola, unlike the guys that throw 100 miles an hour, he's more crafty. So that rubber arm can allow him to pitch more innings here, and he's been durable all the way through his career. That was a great performance for the Phillies yesterday. 30-13 now. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. And a 2-game advantage in the National League East over Atlanta, and yet the Braves remain nearly a 3-1 favorite in minus money to win this division. There's a very long summer ahead, and in the last couple of Major League Baseball seasons, the Phils have turned it on in the playoffs, but haven't been the greatest Major League Baseball team in a regular season. Donnie, when do you expect those odds to start to change if Philly continues to have the Bigs' best record in front of the Braves?
Yeah, it probably will take maybe another 2 to 3 weeks at this point, because the one thing you're settling in on now, sometimes you take a look at like fluky situations. We talked about the Kansas City Royals. Do we know if they can keep up that record for the entirety of the summer? Probably not. But when you look at the Phillies, outside of you say, well, injury, they've been a half-baked lineup, as I said, for the past 4 to 5 days, and it hasn't made any difference. But they're healthy in that starting pitching lineup. Let's just say they stay healthy there. They're a better team than the Braves are. Plain and simple. Why? You win with frontline starting pitching, and the Phillies got that in spades. That time's going to turn soon.
So we had 2 games in New York. Now we switched to Philadelphia, but we got 2 games against the Mets and the Phils to round out this week. WNBA recap to start hour 2 next.